All right, next stop on the 2019 Figure 9 multifamily real estate market tour
Yeah, cool. Got them
was
all in there.
Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas.
Yep.
Definitely a really cool space. We spent a bit of time downtown at some cool coffee shops and had some barbecue. Saw John, our business partner, down there.
Yep.
Overall, it's really solid market from a lot of what we saw. There's a lot of submarkets, and in fact, it's one of the largest overall markets by population and also by asset values. Definitely very large.
Yeah, and so that was one of the things that we wanted to talk about. Is kind of the stats around DFW. So rent growth is 2.8%, which is really solid. Vacancy's a little high at 7.7, but again, that's a big market. So that's spread out. Job growth is 2.7%, which is good. And then it's got the largest population growth at 1.7% population growth. So yeah, it's a big market, and it's split up, and geographically it's a giant space. So yeah, so going into some of the pros, like you say, it's the sixth largest market by asset value in the U.S. And so that's cool. That brings up submarkets really quickly. You want to get into submarkets.
There's a lot of different submarkets that, there's quite a bit of variation just around Dallas, around the Fort Worth side, in between, and all over those outlying areas. So one of the actual kind of downsides we didn't really talk about, but it ties into that geographic spread. Dallas really has no limitations on how far it could grow.
Right.
So when it comes to development, there's obviously going to be an ongoing draw to the urban core in the downtown areas. So I think we'll always have that, but it's also one of those markets that there's no real geographic limitations. So development will likely lead to additional urban sprawl, and you'll see that community continue to grow as the jobs and populations grow, which is both a pro and a con, depending on your strategy.
Right. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. And the other thing to note about that, I think, is that it has sort of can have 2 to 3 cycles going on at the same time. DFW can have different cycles in different submarkets. So that's important. Like I say, so it's got a large population base, which is really awesome. AT&T just moved their headquarters there from San Antonio. So diverse economic base.
And to that end, one of the other things we've heard recently too is DFW market is home to the most Fortune 500 companies in Texas, but also I believe they're second ranked in the U.S. based on state now.
They're 1 or 2 companies away from being number 1. So
there's a lot of very solid economic opportunities there.
Right. Yeah. So some of the cons, moving on to that, there's a lot of players in the market. Yeah. Obviously, it's a huge marketplace. There's a lot of people out there doing sort of attacking that market in different ways, doing different things from value add to ground up development. The deals move really quick there because of the amount of players that are in the market. So, for instance, we were looking at a property. The next morning we got into Dallas Fort Worth. By the time we showed up at the property, it was under contract. So it was like the perfect property. We really liked it. We walked through it anyway, but popped under contract.
There were 2 in that DFW area, weren't there?
Yeah, there were.
Yeah, there were 2 that ended up under contract by the time we actually showed up.
So yeah, and it was a couple of days. It's not like we planned this stuff out like months in advance and looked at all these things. So that stuff moves pretty quickly. Like you say, the other con would be the larger geographical area, making it tougher to sort of nail down exactly where the hot parts of the market are and things. That's a pro and a con, I think. But it definitely it's something to watch out for and hedge for on the downside. So.
Right. And then overall impressions, I think at the end of the day, we found enough opportunities or in and around the DFW area that definitely seems like it makes sense to invest some additional time. Plus, we've got John down there too. So part of our team is actually located not far from there. So we've already got a little bit of a base in that market. And then at the end of the day, I think the overall impressions walking away from spending some time in that DFW area definitely aligned with what we saw in the stats,
Yeah.
and on the indicators that led us to that market in the first place. So overall, I think we're going to keep a close eye on the DFW market, and look for some opportunities to put some money in that market too.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I think there's a lot of opportunity. Like I say, there are a lot of little sub markets and things, and you keep your eye in there on those areas, and there's a lot of opportunity. So I'm excited to spend a little more time there.
Alrighty, so that wraps up Dallas Fort Worth, and next stop is not Colorado Springs, but Denver now. We called an audible, but more on that later.
Alrighty.